Students, now see section 2, paper 1, and in this section there are 6 multiple choice questions, and the marking scheme for this section is for all correct options plus 4. All the 4 options are correct, only 3 options are chosen plus 3. If 3 or more options are correct but only 2 options are chosen, you'll get plus 2 mark. If 2 or more options are correct but only one option is chosen, it is it is correct option, so you'll get plus 1 mark, and question is attempted, so you'll get 0 mark, and in all other cases you'll get minus 2 mark. So let's see question number 1 of this section. So question number 7, let the function f such that r to r be defined fx equal to x cube minus x square plus x minus 1 into sin x. Let g such that r to r be arbitrary function. Let g into f such that r to r be product function defined by f into g equal to fx into gx. Then which of the following options are true? So this is moderate level problem. So first we have to write function fx. So fx is given x cube minus x square plus x minus 1 into sin x. So now we get here the value of function fx is 0, and this function is continuous and differentiable for all x belongs to R, and f of 1 is 0. And we have hx equal to, let us assume that hx equal to fx into gx. So hx equal to fx into gx, then we get and also take gx is continuous at x equal to 1. Because in first option it is given that gx is continuous at x equal to 1, so that means g of 1 positive equal to g of 1 negative equal to g of 1. And the meaning of g of 1 positive is limit h tends to 0, g of 1 plus h equal to limit h tends to 0, g of 1 minus h equal to g of 1. So we have to check the differentiability of function, and if we check the differentiability of function hx, so h dash 1 positive equal to f of 1 plus h into g of 1 plus h minus f of 1 into g of 1 divided by h. And we know that h of 1 plus h, f of 1 plus h is same as f of 1. So we have to take common f of 1. So we get this part, and limit of this part exists, and this is finite. So f of 1 multiplied by this equal to 0. And similarly, limit of this function exists, and this is finite. So we get uh, f of 1 h dash 1 negative 0. So in this case, we get, if gx is differentiable, then fx into gx is differentiable. So this shows that gx is differentiable if this exists, and this shows that g of x is differentiable, then product is differentiable. Also, if gx is continuous, then product is continuous. So option A and C are correct. Now, question number 8. Question number 8 is given. Let M be 3 by 3 invertible matrix with real entries, and let I denote the 3 by 3 identity matrix. If F inverse equal to adjoint of M, then which of the following statements are always true? Right? So we have to get M inverse equal to adjoint of M, and taking determinant on both sides. So the property of determinant is determinant of A into B equal to determinant of A multiplied by determinant of B, and determinant of adjoint of A equal to determinant of A whole power, whole power n minus 1 times determinant of A whole power n minus 1, and determinant of adjoint of adjoint A equal to determinant of A whole power n minus 1 whole square. So we are using three formulas here. And now if we use three formula, so in first formula we have to take determinant, and if we take determinant, so we get determinant of M inverse equal to determinant of adjoint of M, and this is determinant of adjoint of M whole power 4. So whole power 4 will come if you write M whole power, and this is 3 minus 1 whole square, correct? So this value will be 3 minus 1 whole square, and this that is 4. So m to the power 5 equal to 1, and m to the power 5 equal to 1 means we get uh, determinant of m equal to 1. Option B is correct. Then take m inverse again, and this is adjoint of m, and we get adjoint of m equal to determinant of m into m. What is this? We have to use one more formula, and the formula is adjoint of a equal to determinant of a whole power n minus 2 multiplied by a, and here n equal to 3. So the order of matrix is given 3. So if we put n equal to 3 here, so we get 3 minus 1, and 3 minus 1 is 3 minus 2. So because if we put n equal to 3, so we get 3 minus 2. So 3 minus 2 into a. So now we are getting the same thing. We get determinant of m into m square, determinant of m into m, and we are getting this step. And then in this step again we have to take pre-multiplication of matrix M. So now determinant of M is 1. So we get M square equal to identity matrix, and option C is correct. Now the third one is M inverse equal to adjoint of M, and we know this formula, adjoint of M, uh, M inverse equal to adjoint of M divided by determinant of M, and adjoint M, and determinant of M is 1. And now we have to use one more important formula, and the formula is A into adjoint of A equal to determinant of A into identity matrix. And we also know that A inverse equal to adjoint of A divided by determinant of A. So we are using these two formulas. So now we get the first step. Then we have to write a second step. This is first step. Then we get B equal to adjoint of B. If we put B equal to adjoint of B, so we get B into adjoint of B equal to determinant of B into identity matrix. So we have to multiply it by B on both sides. So we get B square equal to determinant of B into identity matrix. Now we have to put the value of B. So value of B is actually, here we get, if we put the value of B, and value of B is adjoint of M. So B square is adjoint of M, and if we put adjoint of M whole square, and now we get adjoint of M whole square. So adjoint of M whole square equal to determinant of adjoint of M into identity matrix. So now we get, this is 1. So option D is correct. So in this question we get B, C and D options. Question number 9, and this is a moderate problem of complex number, and most of the students reported that this problem is difficult, but I don't think so it is difficult. It is simple, moderate problem. So in this question, we have z square plus z plus 1 equal to 1. So what I have observed here, I have taken z square plus z plus 1 by 4 together, and plus 3 by 4 equal to 1. And now I have assumed z square plus z plus 1 by 4 equal to omega. So we get omega equal to z plus 1 by 2 whole square, and modulus omega equal to z plus 1 by 2 whole square. Right. So this represents a circle with center minus 3 by 4 and radius 1. So center is minus 3 by 4 and the radius of circle is 1. Then we have to use triangular inequality, and modulus of omega plus 3 by 4 is less than equal to modulus of omega plus 1 by 4, and we know that if you see this part, so this is z plus 1 by 2 whole square must be greater than equal to 1 by 4. How it is greater than equal to 1 by 4? Because we have to get this length, and this is the minimum length. This is origin O, and this is omega. So omega will have this minimum length, and this minimum length will be 1 by 4, right? Because modulus omega means we have to see all vectors, all complex vectors lying on this circle. So this minimum length is 1 by 4. So we get omega is greater than equal to modulus omega is greater than equal to 1 by 4, and z plus 1 by z whole square greater than 1 greater than equal to 1 by 4. So we get this inequality. And similarly we get the another part, and we are getting uh, here z square plus z plus 1. So z square plus z plus 1 can be written as z square minus z plus 1 using triangular inequality in this part. So we get this step, and now we are getting this step, and here this quantity is 1. So we get modulus z square minus modulus of z minus 1. And again we have to use triangular inequality in modulus of z plus 1. So we get this step, and solving this step we get the modulus z and modulus z less than equal to. So we can also verify B and C options by putting z equal to iota, and method 2, and this method 2 is also almost similar method, but the working of second part is different here. In method 2, here the same thing I have assumed कि omega is z minus 1 by 2 whole square, and then modulus of omega greater than equal to 1 by 4, and z plus 1 by 2 whole square greater than 1 by 4. So modulus z plus 1 by 2 is greater than equal to 1 by 2. So option C is correct. Now, then the working of this part is bit different, because I have factorized it z square plus z plus 1. So if we get factors, then we get z minus omega into z minus omega square, and we know that modulus of z minus omega is greater than equal to modulus of z minus modulus of omega. So we get this triangular inequality, and similarly for modulus of z minus omega whole square, then we have to multiply them, and if you multiply them, so we get modulus of z minus omega whole square into modulus of z minus omega, and this must be greater than modulus z minus 1 whole square. Again we have to put this as modulus of z square plus z plus 1, and this is greater than equal to modulus of z minus 1 whole square, and now we get modulus of z minus 1 whole square less than 1. Then we have to solve this inequality and get the option. Right. Question number 10th. Question number 10th. Let x, y, z be positive real numbers. Suppose x, y, z are the length of the sides of triangle opposite to its angles capital X, capital Y, capital Z. If tan x by 2 plus tan z by 2 equal to 2y whole divided by x plus y plus z, then which of the following options are correct? Actually, uh, this question is simple question, and in this question, it is actually a little bit confusing because they IT did not give ABC notation, because we are very used to with ABC notation. So now let's discuss this problem, and we get R1 equal to S tan x by 2 and x by 2 equal to R1 by S, and similarly, so R1 by S. So here we get S minus A, and A is X, and similarly R2 Z by 2. So delta divided by S minus B, and this is S minus Z. So tan x by 2 plus tan y by 2 is given this data. So now we have to substitute this value. and get the formula here, and here we get this result, and in this result we know that tan y by 2 equal to 1, so y equal to 90 degree. So capital X plus capital Y plus capital Z means sum of all angles equal to 180 degree. So capital X plus capital Y equal to 180 minus Y. So we get it is 90 degree. So we are getting this relation capital X plus capital Y capital Z equal to Y. Second one is we have to find the area, and if we get the area of triangle is, because this angle is 90 degree, so area of triangle is 1 by 2 into xz, and tan x by 2 equal to delta divided by s into s minus a, and s minus a means s minus x. So we have to substitute this value and get s minus 2x, and we know that 2s equal to x plus y plus z. So put the value of s and get the answer. So here we are getting option B and C are correct. Now, question number 2. This question is simple, but it is lengthy problem, calculated problem. Question number 12. And we have integral 0 to 1 x cos x. So we know the expansion of cos x and sin x. Okay, cos x must be greater than 1 minus x square by 2. So we'll use this expansion. And the expansion of sin x is sin x greater than equal to x minus x cube divided by 6. So 1 minus cos x greater than equal to x minus x cube divided by 2, and x sin x is greater than equal to x square minus x to the power 4 divided by 6. So now we have to put the expansion of cos x and sin x. So we are getting four integrals. Okay, this must be greater than this. Second integral must be greater than this. Third is greater than this, and fourth is greater than this. And now these are simple integrals. We'll find out the values, and if we get the values, then we get option A, B, D are correct. Now, question number 11. Question number 11 is simple question, and in this question it is given that L1, L2 be the straight lines, and suppose a straight line L in the plane containing L1, L2 and passes through the intersection of L1 and L2. So here I have taken this line is L1 and this line is L2, and all these two lines are lying in this plane, and this is plane P, plane pi. And the third line, this line is L, and third line passing through the point of intersection of L1 and L2. So third line passing through this point of intersection. So what I did here, I have taken all three vectors are coplanar. So here I have assumed I have taken coplanarity conditions. So for coplanarity condition, delta becomes 0. So we get this relation, and this is first relation, like Lm minus 2 and 1 minus 1 3 and 3 minus 1 and 1. And these are the direction cosines of L1 L2. Dekho, if you see the direction cosine of L1 L2, so we get direction cosine of L1 will be 1 minus 1 3, so direction ratio, and this will be minus 3 minus 1 and 1. So this is direction ratio of L1 and this is direction ratio of L2, right? Second condition is we have to check the vector along bisector. Actually the concept is, if you have this vector, these two vectors, and you have to find the bisecting vector. So this is vector and this bisect these two vectors. So what we do here, we have to take unit vector along this direction, unit vector along this direction, and form a parallelogram. So if we form a parallelogram, so let us say that this vector is a cap and this vector is b cap. So this vector will be a cap plus b cap. And we have one more bisector vector, and this vector will be b cap minus a cap vector, right? So now here I did the same thing. Ki, e- we have to write the unit vector along this direction. So this vector is unit vector along this direction, unit vector along this direction. Then we have to get the addition, and we are getting this vector, and this vector is the direction of this line. So this is given as direction ratio. So it will be proportional. So first vector, second vector, third vector proportional to the direction ratio. So we get the value of L equal to M. And now we are getting two equations, equation 1 and equation 2. So M equal to 1 and L equal to 1. Then one more thing is we get here we got the coordinate of L, M and minus 2. And this line is given L line, and this passes through the point of intersection of these two lines. And point of intersection of these two lines will be 1, 0 and 1. It will satisfy. So we get the relation between alpha and beta. So option is alpha equal to 2 and gamma equal to minus 1 and L equal to 1 and M equal to 1. So option A and B are correct, right? Perfect.